Let's continue to data presentation. Data presentation is basically the process of using various graphical formats to visually represent the relationship between two or more data sets so that an informed decision can be based on them. Remember, any organization or executive does not care about your methods of reaching an endpoint. Hawajali. As long as you are providing a solution which is vital to the organization. I'll give you an example. I told you I was working with a SACCO. And one of the main problems we talked about the SACCO is people stopping to work, watu wakiacha kuweka pesa kwa SACCO. Watu wakiacha kuweka pesa kwa SACCO, it's a problem for them because now it means their method of making money is getting money from people, loaning out to other people, and then taking the interest. So if there is no people, the people who are putting the money in the SACCOs, it can reduce the number of people, they are reducing their profits exponentially. And that is called churn. So churn, let me just read the description here so that you can understand what it is. So the churn is churn rate. So the churn rate is basically the rate at which customers stop doing business with a company over a given period of time. It's basically the rate at which, so for the SACCO, it's the rate at which customers stop putting money in their SACCO over a given period of time. And churn predictions are usually done with machine learning algorithms. And the one that I am creating is giving me a lot of problems. But remember, the executives don't care how you come up with it. They don't care about your machine learning algorithms. They don't care about the type of research analysis tool that you'll use. Utatumia Python, utatumia R, utatumia whatever you use, as long as you come up with a solution that once they apply it to their organization or their business, it will work. So data presentation is very important. How do you present this data? How will you make them understand what you mean without telling them how you did it? That's where data presentation comes in. So in data presentation, there are two forms where you can use data visualization, which is basically the graphical representation of the information and data, or data stories, which is a communication of insights, effectively giving your data a voice. Data visualization, graphical representation, data stories, giving it a life by giving it a voice by communicating the insights very perfectly or effectively. Let's check on the importance of data visualization. Okay, just look at this circle, this pie chart. It has been used to represent data about these letters and how big they are. Then the question is, let's not even check which one is larger. Let's check, just give me a second. Let's go back here. So look at this. Don't even think about which one is larger. Look between D and E. Look between D and E. D and E. Which one is larger between D and E? Between D and E, which one is larger? Go to the chat section. Tell me which one you think is larger between D and E. Which one do you think is larger? Which one do you think is larger? D and E. Between D and E, which one is larger? Write it on the chat section. Real quick, 10 seconds. For us to understand the concept of data visualization, how graphical representation of the data affects how effective you communicate your information. Between D and E, which one is larger? Jump on the chat section and write your answer very fast. Between D and E, which one is larger? Everyone, I want answers from everyone in this question. Write it very fast in the chat section, very, very fast, very, very fast. Between D and E, which one is larger? Between D and E, which one is larger? Give me an answer very fast. Between D and E, which one is larger? Which one is larger between D and E? Velma? Between D and E, which one is larger? Between D and E, which one is larger? I'm waiting for an answer from who so that we can continue. Chats, I think Velma. Velma, which one is larger between D and E? Oh, E. Perfect. So we have a discrepancy between D and E. So some people are saying D, some people are saying E. Why is that? It's because the presentation of this data is very awful. For us to represent this data in a very effective way, we have to use the bar graphs. And now looking at this, which is exactly the data points that were used in this one are exactly the same as the ones that were used in the pie chart. The exact information that was used on this one is the exact one that was used on the pie chart. And because Margaret has just joined us, let us see how if she'll be correct. Margaret, between D and E, Margaret, Maggie, between D and E, which one is larger? Which one do you think is larger? Write your answer on the chat section. Between D and E, which one is larger? You're waiting for your answer, Maggie? Perfect. So you can see, kuna wenye wanasema E, kuna wenye wanasema D, because this was not supposed to be represented in this type of visualization. And when we look at this one, we can see an exact or a very, very distinct answer, which is D. D is larger. But we had 4 of you saying D, 3 of you saying D, 4 of you saying E. And that's why visualization is very important. How you visualize it, how you use it to make sense and show the effectiveness or the magnitude of the information, the scale that you use, or XY scale that you use, how effective it will be in representing this information. Remember, as you can see this in all this, there's a very, from here, kwenda chini, it's full. So what you can do is start this graph from here, then make sure these ones are large, Start the graphs from here, increase the scale here so that the discrepancy between these values is very visible. That's a certain way that you can make this bar graph a little bit better. Let us continue to the second point, which is data stories. So how data stories work is basically these 3 types of, these 3 things, these 3 Venn diagrams can help you really understand how it works. So it's basically data, visualization, and narrative. These 3 things, when they coincide, they form the sweet spot for a data story. Data,